Hi guys, I recently upgraded my beloved Olympus EM5 Mark II to the Fuji X-H2. You'll notice there's not much difference in size. In fact, with the battery power pack on the Olympus, it's even taller. The length is a little bit longer with this particular 18 to 135 lens on it. But what what I really want is your help getting to Fuji to ask for some firmware updates. Firmware improvements, we'll call them. There's a lot to love about the X2, but the X-H2, but there's three things that I really like to see them change. One is the exposure graph. Now, since most Fuji users are used to the dials on top, which are wonderful, if you like to use the PSAM dial, which I don't really care to, but I like the manual mode and I like all the custom settings, then you use the front and the rear control dials to control your shutter speed and f-stop. Then I really wish the exposure dial was horizontal instead of vertical. And I'll turn this on. And I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but I'll show you a close-up of it. But so I just dial this exposure dial to the right to make it brighter. And by the same token, I could do the f-stop to the right to make it brighter. That way. Now I had to reverse the direction of these two control dials to make it go in that way, and I don't particularly care which way it goes, just that you have to get used to which way to turn it to make it brighter or darker with the shutter speed and f-stop. But what I really like is the vertical exposure to be horizontal. Now if I turn this into manual focus, then it turns on the distance indicator for focusing, which I don't need. What I would like Fuji to do is to swap this exposure scale in the vertical direction with this distance scale in the horizontal direction. And that would make me a happy camper. Now the only problem is if you turn off the setting for large indicators mode, if you turn that off, that's the only way you can get the distance scale. And I like large indicators mode turned on, and I certainly wouldn't want the exposure scale, if it was horizontal, to disappear just because I have large indicators turned on. So that's my first request, to swap those two vertical and horizontal scales, and then I really don't use the distance scale. My second request is the custom settings. If you notice, and I'll show you a close-up of the display on top and the display here. Here's the top display, and you'll notice that the custom one is awfully small. And here's the back screen, and again you'll notice that custom one over there is awfully small. In the fine print it shows C1 that I'm in custom mode 1. If I change it to C2, it says C2 in both the top dial and there. The problem is there's 7 custom settings, and it just makes all the sense in the world that they should be displayed on the two displays, because you can change the text that's associated with each of the customs, C1 through C7. So for instance, if I go into the settings, if I go into the My Menu thing in settings, and you go into the custom settings, and I'll show you a close-up of that if the camera doesn't pick it up. There it shows the names that I have for C1, C2, and C3. So it makes all the sense in the world that if you turn it to Custom 1, Custom 2, Custom 3, Custom 7, it should show it on the display on the top, on the display on the back, through the eyepiece, and really it would be nice if when you change it, it just flashed on the screen for a few seconds, the name of the mode that you just switched to. So that's my second request. My third request is the direction of these dials. You can reverse them in a setting. Let me get back into picture taking mode here. I'm normally staying in manual mode. So you can reverse these, and I could make it go brighter or darker by switching it to the left instead of to the right. I don't care which way, whatever I get used to. It'd be easier with the horizontal dial. The problem is if I go into some of the other modes like aperture priority, now if I push it to the right to make it brighter, it actually gets darker. And the problem is I can't change the sensing of brighter or darker. In this case, it's exposure compensation when you're in aperture priority mode. I can't change the direction that pushes the exposure to be the same as it is in manual mode. That's just crazy. So I would like the direction, those dials, and what they mean to be a separate setting for each setting on the control, on the mode dial. So that's my 3 requests to Fuji. I hope you watch this, and I hope some of you have some influence on Fuji. I love the camera, but I just like those 3 little things fixed. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.